Welcome back to the channel. I'm today's thinker and I'm here to keep you up to date with all things finance and making money. What better way to prepare for a stock market swing than taking a look at what Goldman Sachs CEO had to say? Let's get into it. David Solomon, the CEO for Goldman Sachs, expressed concern on Tuesday that there is a good chance that the American economy will enter a recession just hours after the bank announced a significant restructuring of its internal structure. Solomon made the dire prognosis shortly after the Wall Street firm announced one of the biggest corporate restructurings in its history and revealed third quarter earnings results that showed profit fell 43%, which was actually better than what analysts expected. In a CNBC interview, Solomon stated, "I think you have to expect that there's more volatility on the horizon now. That does not necessarily imply that our current economic situation is extremely challenging. However, given the distribution of results, there's a good chance that the US will experience a recession." Solomon stated that it is a time to be cautious due to the current state of the economy as a wave of crisis such as persistently high inflation and an increasingly aggressive Federal Reserve. "I think it's time to think more carefully about your risk box and your risk appetite if you're running a risk-based business," he said. The banking executive is preparing for the possibility of a downturn, but he is less certain about the likelihood of a severe recession that could last for years as opposed to just a few months. He suggested that the length of the downturn will be significantly influenced by the government policy. Asset appreciation will be more difficult in an environment where inflation more deeply ingrained and growth is slower, according to Solomon. Will we become entrenched in a scenario that lasts for 10 years? I'm not sure. The policy choices we make from here on out will matter. This is clearly demonstrated by the sharp decline in the stock market and crypto markets. By the way, Solomon is the most recent in a long line of Wall Street CEOs to issue a recession warning. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, stated last week that the war in Ukraine and higher interest rates are likely to cause the United States to enter a recession within the next 6 to 9 months. With only 263,000 new jobs added in September, US job growth slowed down once more. He forewarned that such a downturn could cause the S&P 500 to fall another 20%. On Wall Street, there is an increasing expectation that the Fed will cause an economic downturn after it started on one of the quickest paths ever to increase borrowing costs and slow the economy. Officials approved a third consecutive 75 basis point rate increase in September, bringing the federal funds rate to a range of 3% to 3.25%, which is close to restrictive levels, and they also hinted that more extremely large increases are on the way. This is expected as inflation doesn't seem to be slowing down. In an interview with CNBC last Monday, Dimon said, "There are very, very serious things that I think are likely to push the US and the world in some kind of recession 6 to 9 months from now. I mean, Europe is already in a recession." Gross domestic product, the most comprehensive indicator of the goods and services produced in a country, shrank by 1.6% in the winter and 0.6% in the spring, signaling that the beginning of a technical recession. Economic growth already shrank in the first 2 quarters of the year. With its rapid rate increases, the Federal Reserve, led by Fed Chair Jerome Powell, has all but admitted the economy will enter a recession. Powell has warned that higher rates will result in pain for the economy. In September, Powell told reporters in Washington, "The chances of a soft landing are likely to diminish in the extent that policy needs to be more restrictive or restrictive for longer. However, we remain dedicated to bringing inflation back to 2%. We believe that failures to regain price stability would result in much more suffering." Knowing this kind of information is key to us retail investors. Being prepared for what to come is never a bad thing. Given these conditions, we are fortunate enough to be introduced to glorious buying opportunities in the market at decade lows. Opportunities like this don't come often. That's why we advocate on dollar cost averaging into the markets in conditions like this, not putting all your eggs in one basket and regretting it later. It's safe to say we can expect continued interest rate hikes and the markets are likely to experience more pain. We are not financial advisors here on this channel. We are simply here to keep you up to date with what's going on in the economy so you're able to make informed buying decisions. That's it for us today. Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to reading your thoughts on this situation in the comments below. And on that, we will see you on the next one. Cheers.